Hello everyone, my name is Ricardo, Canary Lotus on Instagram, Ravelry, Facebook and YouTube, and welcome to this second episode of my Everything Crafty podcast, The Canary's Nest in English. I do have two other ones in Spanish and French, so if you want to check those out, go there. This is a podcast about crafting, everything related to fibers especially, mostly about knitting, embroidery and some sewing. And this is also the first episode of the year 2018, so have a happy new year. I hope that you have many successes and plenty of health, and that you spend lovely end of the year holidays with your families and your beloved ones. This episode is kind of exceptional. For the first time in 7 months I have changed the background of my podcast. This is because in Paris right now is pretty sunny, which is very nice, but filming a podcast with the sun just under the face, it's a pain. So I just switched over the background. Hope you like it. If you don't, put a comment below. If you prefer this background, tell me about it. It's not as comfy as the other one, because in the other one there is a sofa and this one is only a chair. But if you prefer this one, I can manage to do it. Anyway, in this podcast I will also be using the same structure as I do in the French one, which means that for the first time you will be having the Netflix section, in which I will be talking about movies. And this is because I'm a chronic insomniac. And most of the time I spend up knitting and watching movies, at least one a night. So I have many recommendations to provide, so hope you like it. And without many other interruptions or any other discussions, I propose you to go over the first section, the finished objects. So FOs, I have 3 of them to present to you. The first one is a whip that I showed you last time, which is the pullover for my wife. It is the Astoria pullover by Martin Story. It is a funnel neck raglan pullover with some cables that I knitted using fabric from yarn from the Squirrel Yarns, who's a French hand dyer. The colorway is called Gentian dans la neige, so gentians in the snow, in a decay weight instead of worsted that was supposed to be the weight used for this pattern. So this is a bottom-up pattern and is supposed to be knitted flat. I did not knit flat. I used round knitting. Just because I was too lazy and I don't like sewing. So instead of sewing, I just prefer to do it the traditional way. It was actually quite nice, not very difficult. It took about 12 days to be knitted. Since I did everything using round knitting. Instead of sewing, I pick up some all the stitches here and used some short rows instead of doing what the pattern told me. The result is quite nice. The yarn is too. The only thing is that I went a little too long for the pullover. It was supposed to be cropped. It's not as cropped as my wife would have liked it, but it's still very nice and she loves it. She has been using it for the last 2 weeks, almost all days actually. So it's pretty nice to do. The pattern is really simple to follow. The only thing that I regret from them is that there is no electronic version of the pattern. So if you want to knit the patterns of this book, you need to have the actual book with you. Which is not very practical, especially if, like me, you're traveling all over the place. So I ended up taking some pictures of the pattern with myself, just to be able to do the knitting. And once I modified the pattern to be able to knit it using round knitting instead of flat knitting, I actually just didn't follow the pattern at all. So a very nice project. My wife loves it, and this is the most important thing, since this is the first time I have knitted something for her, and I love it. And Instagram loved it too, because actually this pattern got like this picture, the picture of this pullover got like 300 likes, which is amazing. Never in my life had I had as much likes for a single picture, so I was quite surprised. The second finished object is something that I casted on the January the 1st for a call that was colored over by Lorraine from the podcast Lolo Did It. And this is a pattern that was done for her or in a collaboration with her from the Western Street Knittery. And it is called Lolo's mixtape. It is a pretty simple shawl with bubbles. And I will try to show it. I just finished it yesterday, so it's not blocked, nor that the loose threads have been filled in. So it will be kind of difficult to show up, but I will try to do it. How can I do it? Like this. So that's it. It is a pretty simple pattern in which you have mainly moss stitch with some bubbles once in a while. I was kind of afraid that the pattern would be boring for me, because I am used to have very unusual constructions in whatever I do. But it was actually pretty nice and pretty fun to knit. And I was worried that the bubbles will be a real pain to do, but they were actually pretty fun. And I loved knitted. I loved knitting, especially because the colors were. I think that the colors that I choose for this specific project are just amazing. Both of these yarns, the green one and the pink one, are for the same French hand dyer, whose brand is called Le Laine de Bibounette. The green one is called Le Coin Coin de Sidonie, and the pink one is called En Boîte avec Virginie. So I put them together actually by accident, because I was sorting up my stash, and the two skeins ended up one against the other, and you just thought those two were made to be together. It's impossible to dissociate them. So I just took another yarn from one of my favorite hand dyers. It is Heike Maid. She's a German hand dyer who lives in France, in a region, in a city called Grenoble. And this colorway is called Mérange, Pomegranate, Myrtille. So meringue, Granny Smith, and blueberries. And I think that the whole mix, the whole combo is just amazing. Pretty easy to do, pretty addictive. It took me 10 days also. Most of my projects, whatever I need, is almost all the time is 10 days, 10 days, 10 days. So it was very nice, and this is a shawl that I needed for my stepmother. As I told you last time, most of my knitting I tend to do it for gifts. So this will be my gift for her this year. And I loved it. And I put it, there is a call going right now. So if you want to participate, go to the Webster Street Knittery group in Ravelry to join in. And don't hesitate to go also to Lolo Did It's store, in which she proposes some kits for doing it. So that's it for this one, and I love it. And the third project that I will be presenting you is not a knitting project, which is kind of exceptional because most of the time I only do knitting. In some time I will be using this baby because yes, I finally put my inscription to sewing classes. So in some days I will finally be able to use this magnificent sewing machine that I purchased some months ago and that I am totally unable to use because I don't know how to do it. Anyway, the project that I want to show you is this. This is a grid that I purchased in a crafting convention called the CSF. And this is a pattern called the Chickadee from the Little Friends collection of Heritage Crafts, which is, I think they are from UK. Yeah, I think they are from UK. And I did it like in 2 days, and it is just amazing. I loved it. For those who don't know it, and I think it's pretty obvious for the name of my podcast is Canary Lotus. I love birds, and this one is just so cute. So it was pretty easy to do. The one thing that I liked from this pattern is that the kit actually has enough material to make it twice, maybe 3 times if you are very, very conscientious of how to use the threads. So it's pretty amazing, and I really loved it. I just need to find a way to put it, I don't know, maybe under the shelf or something like that. But I loved it. It's so cute, and I will be doing this one in a while because this one I don't have it, and hopefully there is another convention coming in a couple of weeks. Hopefully I will be able to find this one because I loved it. But in the following days I will be doing this one. This one. So anyway, that's it for the finished objects. I propose to go into the whips. So I don't have many whips, but I do have many coming projects. The first one of them is a shawl from Andrea Marie, which is the Brioche shawl, that I will be doing while participating to a call organized by a fellow podcaster and friend Elodie from A Knitting Journey. And I wanted to buy some yarn for this project yesterday in a local store which is called L'Île Louiselle, which I do recommend. If you are in Paris, go ahead. It's amazing. I went to buy hedgehog fibers sock yarn in the colorway pesto. That will be my main color for that shawl, that I will be mixing with this Riverside Studio teal colorway. This is MCN sock yarn, and these 3 colors I will be mixing them, with a color that I just received from a hand dyer who lives in the United States, but she's actually from France, and she's a friend, Emma from Air de Lune. So these 4 colors will be together. I still have to find the 4 color, but I think that this already works pretty well. The one thing that I wanted to say about this is that it was a real struggle to get those because the postal services in France are just a mess. But I got this fantastic kit from Emma, Air de Lune. The thing that you need to know is that she just opened an international store. So go ahead, if you don't know her, go ahead, check that out. Her work is amazing. She's not the usual hand dyer, meaning that when she dyes memories. Whatever she takes the picture and she reproduces the picture in the yarn. And this one is called Secrets of the Woodland. And there are some others, but once she has dyed the yarn, she actually ends up with a limited edition kit, and I find that amazing, and I love it. Especially those 2 ones are my total favorite. Those 2 ones are not my real colors because I don't like very dark colors, but since it's green, I love it. So Emma did get the parcel. It was a struggle, but it was worth it. And I also got this amazing sack with the yarn, so it's perfect. While going searching for the yarn, I ended up buying something else, which is normal, being me. I bought these two skeins of hedgehook fibers, my all-time favorite pucker and a new favorite, which is Schreiber. I ended up buying also these two skeins of Cascade Yarns Venezia worsted. This is a merino silk base, and with those two I wanted to knit two hats for some friends, and I don't really know which ones. I was thinking about the traveling cable hat from Porsoho, but I'm not really sure about it. So if you have any idea of what hats I can do with this, go ahead, I'm open to any suggestions. The second project that I wanted to talk about is my main project of the year, and this is actually why I'm participating to the call Brioche issues, because it will help me out working with my brioche skills, since I'm thinking of knitting an all brioche sweater, which is the Excuse Me sweater from Stephen West. For that I purchased 3 skeins of a United Kingdom hand dyer, whose brand is called It's a Stitch Up. This one is called Shinjuku. It is a DK base in BFL, so it's 100% superwash BFL. This one is called a Piglet. It's also BFL superwash. The base is called Dynamite DK, and this one is an Aran color base whose name is Toxic, and the base is called Awesome Aran. So I love those, and I will be mixing them with yarn from another podcaster, and whose podcast is just amazing. I love her podcast, and just by receiving the yarn that she does, it's amazing. Her name is Laureen. She lives in Las Vegas, and she's the host of the podcast Lolo Did It, and the Lolo behind Lolo Did It. So I bought this bombastic colorway in the Simple DK base. Those are amazing, but my favorite one from all time, it is this one. This colorway is called Holy Jolly, and I'm in love with that. It is, the colors are amazing. It's so soft. It's just, thanks Lorraine, if you are seeing me. Those are amazing. So that's for the upcoming projects. With that, I think that we will be able to talk about Netflix and about a call that I'm organizing. So this time for Netflix, I wanted to talk about 2 things. The first one is a movie that I just discovered 2 or 3 days ago. The name of the movie is Happy Bearded. It is a pretty interesting movie which applies kind of the same logic of the Groundhog Day, you know, the movie with Bill Murray, but this time it applies it into a horror flick. It is not a very trashy horror film movie, nor too bloody, nor too scary. It's actually a pretty nice movie to see. It was a pleasant discovery. I don't know which I will put the info on the cover of the film in the screen. I didn't knew it existed. I don't know which year it went out, but it's actually pretty funny to see. So if you have the time, check that out. It's not scary. It's almost comical, but it works. It works amazingly well. So pretty good discovery. And the second thing that I wanted to talk to you about, it's an animated series that is currently ongoing in Japan, which is called the Junji Ito's collection. It is, for those who don't know, Junji Ito is an horror mangaka. So a mangaka is the person who wrote and draws manga, and it is horror related. Anything he does, it's horror related. And right now they decided to adapt some of the histories he has done into the little screen with in an animated movie, which is kind of good. The first episode was out last week, and it was pretty good actually. It was not my favorite story from what he has done, but it was pretty fun. So if you had the time, check that out. It really goes. It's really worth it. Other than that, I wanted to talk to you about a call that I am organizing. The call is called Intrinsic Color Call. Sorry. The whole idea of this call is that you will be choosing one pattern, whatever you want. As soon as this pattern uses two colors, and once you have chosen the color you want to use, you will be showing that color for the other ones to be able to provide the other colors to you. So you will only be choosing one color that you will be needing, but you will also be participating into the selection of the colors from other people. All the rules have been put in my Ravelry group, the New Canary. I have translated all of them in English, French, and Spanish. So the call is international friendly. Don't hesitate to join us. If you have any questions about it, don't hesitate to join me through Ravelry or through Instagram. And I hope that you liked this podcast. If you have any comments to say about the sections, especially Netflix, because I'm kind of thinking to suppress that section. It is like a crash test right now. If you like it, if you don't like it, any comments, those are pretty useful for me. And I hope you have enjoyed it, and if not, tell me about as soon as it's constructive, of course. And hope you hope you have a nice week. I am hoping to see you really soon. And happy knitting, happy crafting, and see you around. Bye.